Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Now, as mentioned in the couple of previous videos, I am now doing some Christmas themed metal songs on the lead up to Christmas, up until Christmas Eve, which will be the last video I put out for the year. I'll then take a break and then come back at the beginning of next year. So I asked for some suggestions on Christmas themed metal songs, and I had a few suggestions come through, and you know, we've covered a couple of Christmas themed songs so far, and they've been, shall we say, on the silly side, on the playful side. But one song that was suggested to me on multiple occasions now was a track by Sabaton called Christmas Truce. Now, I've been told that this is a more serious track, and given the title of the track, I can understand why. Now, Sabaton is a band I have heard of before. I'm going to say I've probably heard their music before, but I'm not certain. Because, you know, they have been around for a fair while. I have numerous friends who are fans of their music. So the chances are I have heard their music before, but I may not be aware of the fact that I have. But anyway, as is my norm, did a little bit of research on who the band were. It says, Sabaton is a heavy metal band from Falun, Sweden. The vast majority of their albums are written about historical events, mainly wars and significant battles, and that kind of falls into line with the subject of this song. Sabaton has been referred to as one of the big four of power metal bands, along with Helloween, Blind Guardian, and Dragon Force. Now, I like Helloween. I think they're great. I love Blind Guardian. I think they're wonderful. Dragon Force, I think they're a bit overhyped. I mean, no doubt they're talented, but, you know, there was a huge wave of Dragon Force at one point, and I just got so fucking sick of hearing Dragon Force everywhere. So, yeah, they're a heavy metal band, power metal band, and like I said, this song is called Christmas Truce, and I'm assuming this is referring to the Christmas truce of did it happen in 1914? Because 1914, is it 1914 that I'm thinking of? Yes, 1914. Yeah, because at this point the war had been going on for about 5 months. And it got to Christmas Day, and like the two opposing sides, they were in their trenches, and everything sort of, if I remember correctly, everything sort of went quiet. And I can't remember if one side started singing Christmas carols and the other side joined in, or something along those lines. And then at some point a football was kicked out into no man's land, and, you know, the Germans and the British ended up playing football on Christmas Day, calling a truce for the day, so they could like enjoy it, have fun, because, you know, they knew that each other were away from their families, and I suppose each of them also knew that they didn't really hate each other. They were doing what their superiors were telling them to do. So this is quite a serious song, but like I said, this was suggested to me by several people. So we'll jump into this. I have lyrics here and see what we've got. So, Christmas Truce by Sabaton. Let's have a look.
Wake up! Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Ahmed! Ahmed!
I hate it when they use that sound.
Come on!
remember the silence on a cold winter day. After many months on the battlefield, and we were used to the violence, then all the cannons went silent, and the snow fell. Voices sang to me from no man's land. We are all, we are all, we are all, we are all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Our moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night. Our guns laid to rest on
Wow. Wow. What an incredibly, incredibly powerful piece of music that was. I mean, the visuals alone are striking enough. You know, just the way that video's been put together is just fantastic. And, you know, the actual meaning behind the song and the way they've conveyed the story through the lyrics is brilliant. The music is just phenomenal. I mean, the way it's opened with that piano kind of sounds like that ringing of the bells carol. I can't remember what is it called. Just called the ringing of the bells. But you know, it kind of sounds akin to that, the way it opens, and very, very powerful, and yeah, and you know, like I said, I've possibly heard Sabaton before and not realised it. But one thing I'm going to say about this band is that they are unlike any other power metal band I have heard, because most power metal bands have the sort of, let's say, the higher pitch sort of sort of sound. This vocal style here has a lot more sort of grit and, I don't want to say anger to it, but do you know what I mean? You know, there's a lot more ferocity behind the actual vocal performance, and you know, it's quite a refreshing change in power metal. Even though, you know, they're referred to as one of the big four in power metal, but the actual band itself isn't considered power metal in what I read. Did I read that right? Yeah. They're considered a heavy metal band, but they are one of the big four in power metal bands. So, weird. But yeah, like I said, this song was about the Christmas truce. And, you know, on Christmas Day, somebody, I can't remember whether it was, I think it was someone from the German trenches. It showed in the video, but it was hard to figure out which side was which. I think it was someone from the German trenches, you know, sort of came out, said, look, hands up, let's just take a day, chill, it's Christmas Day. So everybody sort of came out of their trenches, they shook hands, they drank, they chatted, you know, they just chilled out, they played football, they allowed, you know, each of their sides to collect their dead from the battlefield. You know, so they called a truce because, like I said at the beginning, you know, these people didn't know each other. They were complete strangers. They were just killing on command. You know, they basically had nothing against each other. They were just doing as they were told. And, I mean, that's the truth of most soldiers, you know. They don't necessarily hate the person that they're shooting. It's just the person that they're shooting has been told to try and shoot them first. And, you know, it's quite an emotional and powerful situation that that was put forward. And, you know, it's one of the most beautiful examples of humanity that we've seen in a very, very long time. And unfortunately, it's something that's horrendously lacking these days. You know, I think you'd be hard pressed to see something like this happen on a modern day battlefield. But the lyrics, they go, silence. Oh, I remember the silence on a cold winter day, after many months on the battlefield, and we were used to the violence. Then all the cannons went silent, and the snow fell. Voices sang to me from no man's land. You know, in those first, eight lines, it explains pretty much most of what happened. You know, he remembers the silence on the cold winter's day, you know, when everything just stopped. And, you know, after many months on the battlefield, like I said, this was about 5 months into the war, I think. I could be mistaken. You know, they were used to the battle, they were used to the violence, so the sudden silence was absolutely deafening. They were like, what's happening, what's going on? You know, all the cannons went silent, and, you know, the snow started to fall, and then, you know, they started hearing singing. Somebody was singing Christmas carols, And I think, like in the video, it showed one of I believe it was one of the German soldiers, climbing out of the trenches with his hands up. And I believe, he started singing Christmas carols as he entered onto the battlefield. And, it even showed the British troops, getting ready, going, hold on, there's a guy coming up, take aim. And then somebody went, hold on, hold your fire. He's got his hands up, he's not posing a threat. Let's just see what happens. It says voices sang to me from no man's land. So the carols started filling the air, filling the air, and making their way across the battlefield. And they were like, "Hold on, he's singing." There's no explosions, there's no cannonballs, there's no bullets, there's nothing going on. All I can hear is someone singing a Christmas carol. What's happening? It was probably very, very confusing at the time. And it goes, we were all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. A moment of peace in the war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. And that last line there sort of might have two different sort of, not necessarily meaning, it might have two different connotations, today we're all brothers, because they met on the battlefield, they shook hands, they made peace for the day, they sat, they celebrated, they talked, they swapped little gifts, they were friends, they made merry, they had a nice time, they essentially had a party and played football, a moment of peace in a war that never ends. It was a temporary moment of solace. They could just sit, they could relax, they didn't have to worry about dying, they didn't have to worry about watching their friends get blown to smithereens. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Now that could just be the snow started falling, but it could also be covering up all the blood of their fallen comrades. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing O Holy Night, our guns laid to rest among snowflakes. A Christmas in the trenches, a Christmas on the front far from home. So again, this is something that both sides had in common. They were told by their leaders, go here, kill him, basically. So they were forced to leave their families behind, who were sitting at home on Christmas Day, probably worrying something chronic about whoever of their family has been sent to the front line. So they're separated from their families. This is something that all of these soldiers had in common. So they had so much common ground between them. The only division they really had was what country they were from. Madness. Oh, I remember the sadness. We were hiding our tears in a foreign land where we faced our fears. We were soldiers, carried the war on our shoulders. For our nations, is that why we bury our friends? So again, madness. This is all madness. I remember the sadness. We're hiding our tears in a foreign land when we faced our fears. This whole war was just madness. It was heartbreaking. It was soul crushing to be there. Going out and being told to murder people. We were soldiers and we carried the war on our shoulders for our nations. Is that why we bury our friends? Excuse me. These people are going out and killing at the behest of their government or their leaders. Their leaders are going, I want this, go kill him. You go do it. I'm just going to sit back here where it's nice and safe, so I don't get hurt. But you lot, I don't care. You lot go get shot. You lot go die, get disabled, crippled, get maimed for life. As long as I get what I want, I don't care. And he's like, is that why we bury our friends, just to appease some fat cat who is power hungry? He's not really accomplishing anything. He just wants more. He wants more. And we're the people suffering for it. Is it all really worth it? And, he's asking that there, we carried the war on our shoulders for our nations. Is that why we bury our friends? Is this really worthwhile? Is it worth the murder of millions? Is it worth sacrificing millions of your own people to be selfish? Ugh. And it goes, we were all friends. Yes, we were friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. A moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas, I can't say Christmas today. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing our holy night, our guns laid to rest among snowflakes. A Christmas in the trenches, a Christmas on the front far from home. We were all friends. Yes, we were all friends. And today we're all brothers. Tonight we're all friends. A moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers. We drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. A Christmas on the front lines. We walk among our friends. We don't think about tomorrow. The battle will commence. When we celebrated Christmas, we thought about our friends, those who never made it home when the battle had commenced. So, Christmas on the front line, we walk amongst our friends. So, both sides, when they sort of came together, they saw each other as equals. They treated each other as friends. There was no animosity between anybody. They just sort of sat there together, had fun, played games, played football, talked, whatever, drank, had food, whatever. I believe they even shared rations, that sort of thing. But they didn't want to think about tomorrow when they knew the war had to start again, Today was Christmas, and they were essentially going to have the day off for Christmas. But they didn't want to think about tomorrow when they'd have to start fighting again, when they'd possibly have to kill that same person that they shook hands with the day before. When we celebrated Christmas, we thought about our friends. We weren't thinking about war. We weren't thinking about, what we were having to do. We were thinking about the people that we cared about. We were thinking about the people, and it says those who never made it home when the battle had commenced. They're thinking about the people who they lost in the months prior, and who, they weren't even thinking about the people that they were going to lose in the following days. They were thinking about the people they'd lost up to that point, because at that very point, the war had stopped for them. I mean, obviously it was going to carry on tomorrow, but they didn't want to think about that. They were just enjoying that time right then. And it was a beautiful thing that happened. Because, everybody, when they think about the war that happened, they're like, the Germans were bad people. It wasn't necessarily the Germans themselves that were bad people. I mean, granted, there were some that were absolutely psychotic motherfuckers. Don't get me wrong. There were some like that. But for the most part, they were just doing as they were told. I mean, if you watch Schindler's List, there's a great example in Schindler's List, because you had the character that Ralph Fiennes played. Can't remember the name of the character he played, but he was an absolute fucking psycho. And you had like Himmler and, all these motherfuckers. Those people, yes, were crazy, psychopathic weirdos. But then, towards the end, when Oskar Schindler is like, right, the war is over, all the workers in my factory, you can go free. And then he turns to the German guards and he says, I know that you've been told to kill all these people, but you can either leave here as men without killing them and hold your head high knowing that you've been a good person, or you can shoot all of these people needlessly and have to live with that on your conscience for the rest of your life. You can kill all these unarmed people, all these people who did nothing to you. And that will rest on your conscience for the rest of your life. Or you can just walk away and go back to your life as a man. Hold your head high, thinking, I took the higher ground. I was the better person because I didn't just mindlessly murder for the fact that my boss told me to. So, it wasn't necessarily the German people that were bad. It was the people telling them what to do that were bad. I mean, like I said, don't get me wrong, some of them were bad. But then you've also got to come at it from another direction. There were some, there were some English soldiers that were weird fuckers, who were like, ugh, these are Germans. I want to kill every motherfucking one of them because they're German, Whereas you had other British soldiers who were like, I don't really want to kill these people because I've got nothing against them. I know it's not their fault. It's that arsehole that's hiding in the bunker over there with the tiny stupid mustache. It's his fault. I don't want to get, war is such a stupid fucking thing. But, this is an incredibly powerful piece of music. And, a bit of a step down from the last couple of days that we've had, where we've had some of the more amusing Christmas songs, and hopefully we'll be returning to those come tomorrow. I've got a whole bunch more Christmas songs for us to look at. And, yeah. Like I said, I've got songs all the way up to Christmas Eve, and Christmas Eve will be my last video of the year, in which point I'll be taking a break and then starting back again in January. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like or a subscribe if you haven't already, because it really, really would help the channel out. As it is at the moment, barely even 1% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. And, as a result of this, my videos are just sort of disappearing into the algorithm. I put all the time and effort into making and recording and editing these videos. I'm uploading them and they just disappear. They're not getting suggested to anybody. And, it's kind of disheartening because I've been doing this for about 5 years and, yeah. So, so if you could like and subscribe, it really does help me out, it doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second and it makes the biggest difference to the channel. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Our